And now it is my great honor, or our great honor rather, to welcome a distinguished leader whose voice has shaped diplomacy and global dialogue. Please join me to welcome Her Excellency Sahle-Work Zewde, the first female president of Ethiopia to deliver our keynote address.
Her Excellency Sahle-Work Zewde made history as the first woman to serve as the President of Ethiopia from 2018 to 2024. She's a distinguished global leader in diplomacy and gender equality.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to stand before you this morning as this Forbes Africa Leading Women's Summit. To be in a room with over 1,000 of Africa's most dynamic, brilliant, determined women, and of course our allies, is to feel the very pulse of our continent's future. I look around this room and I see leaders in business, in science, in art, in technology, and in their communities. I see the architects of the new Africa. And it is fitting that we meet in the month of March. Across the world, March is known, of course, for the International Women's Day. March is also a season of reflection and resolve. It is a month that has to be celebrated, of course, but as I always say, Women's Day is every single day. This year, the United Nations chose a theme that cuts to the very heart of our gathering: for all women and girls, rights, equality, and empowerment. This theme is not just a theme, it's a declaration. It insists that our progress is not truly progress until it reaches the rural farmer, the entrepreneur, the urban entrepreneur, the displaced person, and also the women in the boardroom, to name but a few. It is a call for rights that are not just written into law, but lived in reality. For equality, that is not just an aspiration, but a measurement. For empowerment, that is not given, but claimed. But as I prepared my remarks for today, I found myself grappling with a sobering truth. Here we are in 2026, and the air around us feels different. That's how I feel it. It feels heavier. If we are honest, we must acknowledge that the great arc of progress for women's rights, which many of us believed was bending inevitably towards justice, now is facing powerful forces trying to bend it back. We are facing a paradox. On the one hand, we see incredible individual achievement. We see women like yourselves shattering glass ceilings and building your own path. On the other hand, when we look at the broader landscape, professionally, legally, and politically, we see that the very foundations of our rights are being systematically dismantled, such as challenges faced at the CSO's working group on women's rights. It is as if every step we make forward, a current is trying to sweep us 2 steps back. And let us be clear on this. Just last week, at the United Nations, the Commission on the Status of Women failed for the first time to adopt its annual declaration by consensus. The subject was critical: strengthening women's access to justice. According to some reports, some thought to roll back decades of agreed language on gender equality. They tried to water down commitments. They tried to sow doubts on the long-established principles. While an overwhelming majority of nations stood firm and protected the integrity of the outcome, the mere fact that this fight happened was a stark warning. It is a signal that the global consensus on women's rights, hard-won over generations, is not longer a given. And this erosion is not just happening in distant multilateral settings. It is happening in plain sight in the professional and international arena. One thing is clear. An attack on women's rights is an attack on democracy. Look at the examples around the world. We see leaders who cloak their power grabs in the language of traditional values. They tell women that our primary role is in the home, not in the halls of power or the corner or office. They pass the laws that restrict our autonomy over our health, our futures, and so on. In some nations, this has gone as far as barring girls from education, systematically excluding them from professional life from childhood. In other contexts, it is more subtle but equally destructive. The erasure of protections against workplace discrimination, the defunding of support services for survivors of violence, the silencing of feminist organizations who are on the front line of this fight. They attack the very concept of gender ideology to create a permission structure for inequality. As a woman who has spent her career in public service, mainly in diplomacy, I can tell you that when we see a government begin to systematically restrict the rights of women, and of course girls, we are seeing the blueprint of a system which is more authoritarian. It is a test. If they can silence and control half of the population, that is not really a safe place. In the face of this daunting reality, then what is our role? What can a room full of leading women do when the tides of history seems to be turning? My answer is this: we must be more than leaders in our fields. We must be the guardians of the future. And that starts with seeing ourselves and each other not as beneficiary of progress, but as its fierce protectors and relentless drivers. You've been called role models, and yes, that is the title. I accept myself with humility. But being a role model is not about being perfect and unattainable. It's about being visible. It's about showing the next generation of African girls, the girl in Addis Ababa, the girl in Johannesburg, in Dakar, or in Tunis, that their dreams are valid, that a seat at a table is not an afterthought, a voice in a conversation, a place in the parliament is her birthright. I was deeply moved by a recent report by the United Nations of, some realities for women. Human rights defenders have come with those reports. And yet, in spite of this horrible situation, especially attacking women, targeted, especially in conflict settings, these women persist. They continue their work because they know that when they are silenced, the prospects for peace and justice grow ever more distant. This is the legacy of African women. We are the daughters of those who resisted. Our grandmothers and great-grandmothers fought colonialism, fought apartheid, fought patriarchal traditions disguised as culture. They did it with limited resources, with no platforms, and with everything to lose, we certainly have no excuse. Our resistance in 2026 must take many forms. This means supporting, investing in, and protecting women, human rights defenders and feminist organizations who are on the ground doing the hard work that governments will not do. They are our first line of defense. Using our platforms and our privilege to speak out, not just on women's issues, but on all issues regarding our respective nations and our continent. Because there is no such thing as a women's issue that is separate from health, from economy, from democracies, etc. on our planet. When democracy is under threat, it is also our issue. When justice is denied, it is our issue. Mentoring and lifting as we climb, this is very important, and I cannot insist enough. We must build networks to support so powerful and so wide that a network of support, rather so powerful and so wide that no woman has to navigate her professional journey alone. We must be intentional about bringing young women into the rooms where decisions are made. Refusing to be silent in the face of injustice, whether it is a colleague being passed over for promotion, a law being passed that restricts our autonomy, or a girl being denied an education. The fight for gender equality has never been a straight line. It has always been a struggle. But what makes this moment so critical is that there is a backlash we face, and it's organized, it's global, it's well-funded. It is targeting the very idea that women should have full agency over their lives. So, as we go through this important summit today, as you network and learn and celebrate, I urge you to also strategize. Think about what you will take back to your companies, your communities, your countries. Think about what you will be part, that you will be part also of the resistance to this regression. The month of March will soon end. The commemorations will fade, but the struggle for rights and equality and empowerment for all women and girls will not. It just cannot. The clock is certainly ticking, but I believe with every fiber of my being that the women in this room and the ones who will ensure that time is on our side, which will be remembered not as the year we went backwards, but as the year we planted our feet, looked the backlash in the eye and said, not on our watch, not on our continent. But before I conclude, I would like to raise 2 points to my view is very important. A woman, it's very difficult for women to do it alone. The support system is very important, and I know what I mean. Women have to support another woman. Sometimes it's not the case. Some would say, oh, a woman can be the worst enemy for another woman. That really has to stop. Without this, maybe you will not be supporting another one, but you will be in danger yourself. It is really important. It's, to my view, very critical. And the second point I would like to raise is to invite you to join, if you are not done yet, the African Women Leaders Network, which has been created back in 2017, and it's now in about 30 countries in Africa. If you don't have a chapter, make sure there is one, and if there is one, make sure you are a member of it. We have done great things in this network, but I can give you an example. If 2 women, former presidents, and one is myself, are part of the African Union-led process, peace process in the Democratic Republic of Congo, I can't see my sister, the Prime Minister. If she's in the room, I really greet her. It's because Aulin asked that there should not be any peace process without including women. We have seen peace agreements being signed and women called after the signing of the agreement to discuss women issues. We cannot be an afterthought. We have to be at the table and express our views. So this, Aulin, the network has proposed names. We are into it, and we are trying to do our best to bring an end to this 3 decades, internal conflict in this great country. With this, really, I would like to leave with a more positive note to say that there is progress. We have to build on the progress. The fact that we are sitting in the room, I'm here to discuss with you, is a progress. The fact that we are being the first female president in the country, but don't remember there are only 2 on the continent currently, and this is not enough in 55 countries. We have what it takes. We have women of caliber. We have to push to encourage them to go forward, to be elected, and to lead their countries. Test them, and you will see that it cannot be worse than what men would do. Thank you very much.